Hello, everyone. We're back with Ken Dombrowski, executive life coach and master hypnotist. And a few weeks ago, we dropped a video called Anxiety, Fear of the Future and discussed a little bit about depression being fear of the past. And I would like to delve into that today.
Okay. Depression is largely described as, you can say fear of the past, but it's really more fear of the past repeating itself. So the subconscious mind gets a hold of these, traumas or even perceived traumas in our life, and then it wants to remind you of them so you can try not to repeat them. So unfortunately, it can remind you so much, it plays on a loop, and then that causes depression and anxiety. Because now you're waiting for in the future for it to happen again. There's the anxiety, fear of the future, based on a fear of the past. So that's why we see so many people with, it's actually been coined in mental health, as far as I know, is depressed anxiety. That's an actual diagnosis. Where it seems like years ago, I don't know if I were to guess, up to 40, 50 years ago, a person largely had either one or the other, depression or anxiety. So when it comes to what are we looking at is we have to do exactly what we do in our office here. We have to find the reasons of your past that have you traumatized. And we do that through the life coaching and the hypnosis, and then we reprogram that same fact, that same memory of your life, but with a new perception, a new perspective, maybe even a lesson that can be learned from it.
Would you have an example of somebody that you helped, kind of along the lines of our client success stories? Would you have an example of someone you helped that had bad depression and you helped them kind of come out of that may have also had anxiety?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure I could come up with a couple of hundred examples. It's just a matter of which one. Excuse me. Just last year, we had a nice woman in her 40s who had, everything in her life was just upside down, and she had all this anxiety and depression. And she'd been through years and years of traditional therapy. And it just, actually, she said she felt worse year after year. And then she decided, well, I need to do something different, so I'm going to try something alternative. So she tries something as nutty and crazy as coming to a life coach hypnotist to see what could happen there. And what we did was we just found things that were in her subconscious memories from her childhood that she had long forgotten about. So we were talking about things out loud, tell me about your childhood. She really didn't have much to talk about. So then we had to go after those same things in hypnosis, and we started getting, some more traumas. And the interesting thing is sometimes what's held as a trauma is a very normal thing.
Right.
It hit that child. It's always when we're a child, hits that child in a way that they weren't expecting, and it kind of crumbled their world. So it's just a simple, stupid example. If a child comes to their parent, if it's 6, 7 years old, and says, can I have a couple of cookies? And parent says, no, we're going to have dinner soon, and the child falls on the floor and has a tantrum. Well, see, that child, every bit of his or her being expected to get a cookie at that point, because there's no reason why not to. This is my life. I get what I want. That's why they have such an over-response with a tantrum. So now that, even though that's just so simple, all it was, no, you can't have a cookie right now, that child is scarred. And that scar is there forever. And it does shape the way that they live their life.
I think that definitely goes back to something that we also discussed in a recent video, is the idea that if you have a thought, just say it. It's definitely important, because no matter how small or minimized you think it should be based on, what people have told you in the past or something like that, there can be a lot of merit behind those thoughts. Mm-hmm. And that's why you need to say what you're thinking, because just because someone else might think it's small doesn't mean that it affected you in any small way. And that's where kind of depression can stem from, is just these events that other people can maybe brush off, but it just didn't seem to sit that way with you, right?
Exactly. I don't know if I could have said it better.
Perfect. So obviously there can be some differences between the way genders react to certain things. So what are the differences you see between depressed men and depressed women that come in?
Well, generally speaking, what I notice is that depressed men, they tend to withdraw. They retreat, they become quiet and isolated, and they go to work, they go home, spend all their time by themselves, usually doing stuff like video games, a lot of that you see, because it's something you can do by yourself, and it's, entertaining. When women have depression, they tend to get more involved in their life. Men get less involved, women get more involved. Women are trying to get some sense of control, which they believe will give them some happiness. So if I can do more, be more, control my life, control the people around me, control my circumstances, well, then I'll feel better and I won't be so sad and depressed. So you do see that, some very specific differences, but then of course it's never 100%. There's always crossover. You're going to find women who withdraw. You're going to find men who get out and try to do more so they can almost prove that they're not depressed.
Do you think with men, the reason that most tend to fall into the withdrawal category is because the idea of men are not supposed to share their feelings that they may have heard through generations? Or do you think it's just the way that men have always operated?
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. All of that is men are far more emotional than women are. This has been proven over and over again over the years. But men are not allowed, society-wise and societal standards, to be emotional out loud. Where women, they are far less emotional. Their emotions are a lot closer to the surface because it's acceptable for a woman to cry, a woman to get upset at something, or even to become mad because, I'm not trying to sound sexist, nobody's afraid she's going to start beating people up. She's just going to yell and throw her hands in the air and demand the manager or whatever. Where men, we are going to be perceived as an instant threat. If a man starts getting, yelling, if he starts, waving his hands in the air, the police are going to be called and he's going away in handcuffs. So men have to just hold on to all of it and push it down. And so the best way to do that is through isolation.
That makes sense. I also personally, when you were saying all that, I was thinking that women have the best excuses. We have our hormones. We can always just be like, oh, I'm menstruating. I'm having a bad day, which don't get me wrong. I do it too. I'm like, yep, don't mess with me today. I'm menstruating. So I feel like it's hard because we have things that we can be like, this is exactly why. And it's true. It is why, but it's also the reason that we can so openly express our emotions, unlike men. You guys don't have just an underlying trump card right there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that could probably have something to do with it too, besides just, the normal difference in, physical abilities.
Well, in alignment with what you were just saying, yes. When you talk to men and you ask them, do you have friends that you can talk to about your personal issues? And pretty much almost unanimously, you're going to get a no. No, I don't talk to them about my deep personal stuff or my relationship stuff with my buddies. So you got men that can go, here in the Midwest, they go hunting and fishing for a week at a time together and never once talk about their deep personal issues. It's all about, getting another beer, having shooting the next shot, the next animal, whatever, deer hunting, whatever it is. So they're all their stuff, they have to keep it, in this very safe space realm where they're not going to share too much because nobody wants to hear it. One of the fastest ways, especially for a man, to lose friends is to start talking about his problems. Nobody wants to hear it, and people will stop returning your phone calls.
I think that's very interesting information to have, especially because we do have the Midwest side to go off of, and Midwest men do keep things under lock and key, so that does make a lot of sense to me. So thank you so much for that information, Ken.
My pleasure.
If you guys would like to learn more about anxiety and depression and how we can help, give us a call today. Thank you.